Glaive. We've seen tons of weapon Glaive, and it wouldn't be a terrible idea to go double weapon, but Glaive really excels when he's able to deal burst damage onto someone because of the crystal carry they have to build defense against. So the Catherine ban is very similar to our Grace ban. Maybe that's just a hero you don't want to play against. It makes sense because they can't pick Catherine because they've got their Lance, and so they might as well just get rid of it. Catherine does work well with a Kestrel. So now I think the smart pick for Impunity is just get one of your captains, whatever you want. It doesn't have to be Grace, it could be Arden or Lyra. As you were saying, Lyra works well with a Kestrel, but leave yourselves open to counter pick with that last jungler.
Definitely, I mean, the draft itself, it's, you kind of win 50 to 70% of the game based on draft. However, we will be seeing an Idris coming out for the side of Impunity. If DevQ will be on this Idris, and we'll settle for the CP Idris, and of course we have Blue City on that weapon capture, in which we saw actually placed in jungle. Then it might work out for Impunity as well. We know Impunity, they are very flexible. However, we cannot discount the entirety of Infamous. Infamous, they are a very strong team, and in fact with both majors just removed from the fold, they can just go on for Samuel. Samuel has seen to put up a very good fight in that of early game, and as long as he can pressure that of early game, Samuel would definitely be a very good pickup.
Yeah, so do you expect this to be a weapon jungle with a lane Crystal Idris? Because I think that makes the most sense, but maybe they're going to go with the CP Kestrel, or maybe they're just going to flex it. Up against this Glaive, I think weapon Kestrel will be reasonably good, so do you reckon that will go into the jungle?
Yep, definitely. So what I think is Idris will definitely be in lane. So this Kestrel will definitely be in that of jungle. But one thing's for sure, it's that for a CP Idris, honestly, I think it just does so much better going into a Glaive. However, we will be seeing Spaghetti probably on that CP Adagio in which we saw earlier on as well. It hurts and it hits like a truck in that early game, but when it comes late game, when a lot of the players have got their Atlas Pauldron, if not, then, it's just so difficult to actually utilize CP Adagio fully in that of the early game, in that of the late game at least. I'm not surprised at this point in time if Impunity will just settle for Lyra. Lyra shuts Grace down very well, and also that of Lance, but they are going to settle for that Grace, for the impact heal, for that burst heal that Grace can provide the moment.
SCA at least. So that does make sense for Impunity. Maybe just for a psychological standpoint, they've seen Weapon Idris win, they keep seeing CP lose. Infamous going for a 3-man invade, but Coeur d'Ivoire is going to be able to steal away backs. I don't know if that scout trap's going to catch him when he goes for it, but very aggressive from Infamous. I think he's going to obviously walk over that scout trap. So Infamous know where Coeur d'Ivoire is. He's going to get the back camps. Yeah, he's got a weapon blade, so there's no question that Coeur d'Ivoire will be able to secure these backs away. And DefQ and Blue City managed to get their own back. I don't know if they got the healing tree, and I think they did actually. No, they wouldn't have got it. They only got 4 CS on Blue City. And so that's pretty successful for Impunity. He could be double, but he is graced with boots. So he's going to boots, but there's an afterburn. Impale does not land. Healing flask had to be used, and now Coeur d'Ivoire is stuck between a Glaive and an Adagio. There is no shop. He cannot shop and buy boots and run away, but he's so low. What Basic Attack does secure the kill from Adagio. First blood picked up, but somehow the gold lead is massively, by about 400 gold, in Impunity's favour, despite the first blood going over to Spaghetti.
Yep, firstly, it's because DevQ and Blue City actually roamed into lane and that of the jungle together. That way they received ambient, and on top of that as well, Coeur d'Ivoire went into the backs to actually remove the backs, or rather take away the backs from Infamous. So very good play coming out from from the entirety of Impunity. And like I said earlier on, Impunity really favors and like the strategic movement throughout the map, whereas for Infamous, they just have got very, very good macros.
They do, and Shingy's going to be able to... So Tezzaboy secures that tree. Good pushback, so Coeur d'Ivoire does not start up Tezzaboy with the knock-up. And now Shingy is going to have to back away. Now Impunity could go aggressive into the jungle. Luxity's considering it, but it's just going to back off. The wave is far pushed into DefQ's turret. Now he wants to go back up to lane to secure that. I'm sure Coeur d'Ivoire will get some nice ambient gold. And it's now that the gold is much more even with that trade. I think Adagio and Glaive have managed to farm themselves up reasonably well, but there will be some backs shared by the laner and the jungler. Oh no, DefQ actually sees how big this wave is and decides I should probably push this in and force Adagio to come to lane instead of being able to share back to himself.
Yep, definitely. So that is one thing to consider all in all. We know that Infamous, they are really infamous for team fights. As long as they can be the aggressors, they would usually come out on top because of how well they are in terms of micro plays. Whereas for the side of Impunity, they really just win with brains and how they just roam around the map. And we did see, and you did mention earlier on how, you know, Impunity actually had got a 400 gold lead, although the side of Infamous scored first blood. So that is one thing to consider. You know, watching both of these teams, both of these teams are very good in their own rights, but they are good in very different manner.
Yeah, definitely. Now it looks like Impunity want to cease this turret. Crystal Kestrel really good at doing so, but just to get some poke. DefQ with 1.6k wants to port home, so it's going to go and shop, and now they're scared. 8k gold apiece for both the teams, dead even in terms of that, but not quite in terms of kills. And I would be very surprised if, as I said earlier, Atlas is not the second item of Tezaboy and Coeur d'Ivoire, just because it seems to be vital against, well, not against Crystal Kestrel anymore, but against the Idris it's very important, and against obviously Shingy and Spaghetti it's vital.
Yep, definitely. We do see though Spaghetti just staying in lane, and we did see earlier on of how, you know, Chingy just hyper farms Spaghetti up as
Tezaboy going in with the Impale, and Afterburn does land. DefQ's pop the healing flask. Now Shingy's rotating down Impunity jungle and will be able to get away. Tezaboy almost stood inside an active camo to his position, but Spaghetti is taking these glimmer shots, have to use the healing flask, he'll be okay, but Coeur d'Ivoire may not. That's a nice double knock up. Tezaboy is going to fall. Afterburn going to catch up. Luke C, he is so low on energy, going to miss one glimmer shot and fall to Adagio damage. And now DefQ's left trying to defend the target by himself. Nice double shot on the Chakram onto Shingy, and Coeur d'Ivoire wants to go in. Shingy's very low. One more basic attack. He's going to use his boots and get away, but DefQ is going to be chased down by Spaghetti. Boots for himself as well, and that is a good trade for Infamous.
Yep, we have been seeing Infamous coming out really often. Not often, but in this week at least with the CP Adagio. I personally am not sure how CP Adagio has been changed so that it's now viable in the meta, where there is actually like CP Idris, which I personally think is just so much stronger as compared to CP Adagio because of how well it scales into the late game. But Minimizer, talk to me about it. Like, why CP Adagio?
Well, CP Adagio has very significant damage, as you see. A melee assassin like Glaive, it's really easy to apply Arcane Fire on probably Kestrel or Idris, really, to be fair. And Adagio has nice big power spikes, not at levels but at items. When he gets Alternating Current, that's a power spike, and then Broken Myth, that's another one. And yeah, his early game is extremely strong, which means you can snowball. And late game, he's still a damage source, which is why people like him. Buxy, gonna get rooted, gonna get Afterburn into the wall, and Fountain will not be enough to save his life. DefQ trying to get Tezaboy, that's not the target you want. Turret, that's not quite. How is Tezaboy alive? Just barely able to survive. Gets the heal of the Arcane Fire from Adagio, and that will be a tier 1 turret going down to Infamous. And I do not know how Tezaboy survived that.
Well, Tezaboy, as we all know throughout the Southeast Asia region, is to be a very reckless roamer. Reckless in his own good, at least. Half the time, he saves on 25 gold of... Okay, so...
Oh, the steal with the Chakram!
Oh!
DefQ secures it with a weapon. And blocks, but you cannot block a Chakram.
I honestly thought there was no steal at all. I was like looking at him like, oh, no steal, because, you know, one shot, one kill went off. Then I'm like, oh, and then he started screaming, and I was like, aha, there you go, a steal. But, you know, okay.
Coeur d'Ivoire trying to steal some backs away, and he is going to. But there's some nice turret pushed by DefQ and Luke, so not too bad. They're actually going to all put home, so there could be counter push by Spaghetti, and they might even get this tier. Oh, tier 1 turret's gone. They're not going to get the tier 2 turret, so that's not too bad from DefQ to actually have ported home there.
Yep, like continuing on my point, Tezaboy is a very well-known roamer throughout Southeast Asia, and is known for his very reckless plays, sometimes very not calculated, but all in all, it usually just synergizes well with his team because of how aggressive the side of Popeyes, ex-Popeyes likes to play, especially that of Chingy. We all know for his very aggressive play style, and Tazboy just fits in this puzzle piece. And as for Infamous, very similar as well. They like to be very aggressive and they are very objective focused after the aggression pays off at ease, and thus Tazboy just fits like a chess, not even chess piece, but maybe in a 3,000 puzzle piece thingy, and Tazboy is just that missing piece. And he's just playing so well. So, you know, to your question as to how Tazboy survives, I've got no idea whatsoever because half the time Tazboy gets caught out in very weird situations and he can still survive. But Crystal Sentry will be taken by Infamous.
The gold lead was, before that Crystal Sentry, it was dead even, the gold between the two teams, 18k 20. Now like a 200, 300 gold lead for Infamous. But I think late game, this has to favour the CP Kestrel. Luke City is not going to get full built this game. It so rarely happens on CP Kestrel that you get fully built. The later on in the game you go, the better off you are. So the longer the Impunity can stay even, the more likely that Kestrel's going to be able to farm up and destroy. But obviously it's definitely not lost for Infamous. Only 9 minutes in, and Pell does land on Steffi, but he managed to jump away. And Cote d'Ivoire is just going to be taking a bit of fire, but not too much. And there isn't a tier 1 turret for Impunity, so they're going to have to back off. Port home, I think there'll be some infusions picked up by DefQ most likely. No, he's going to go with a bit of defense actually, which makes sense. And now the gold mine will be started by Infamous, but I think that was a time for Impunity to fight. They weren't behind. Now they're giving away a bit more gold advantage to Infamous, unless the steal again. Adagio Verse picks it up. No steal. Adagio does Verse judgment to make sure that is secure.
I mean, we did see a match, we did witness, and if I'm not wrong, and if I remember correctly, we were casting the match together, and I think one of the games and one of the teams actually, they basically stole their way to victory.
Please don't remind me.
Yeah, I forgot which team that was, but they basically stole their way to victory. They were losing in team fights, they were losing in every sense, but all in all, they just stole the Kraken. They stole, I think, 3 Krakens.
All I remember was that they were against best, and there were at least 2 gold mines in the against a Celeste. What are you doing, Cruel? Just Spectral Smite, secure, objectives.
Right, yeah, that was a cool.
Anyway, that was not stolen away.
Yeah, that match was definitely a memorable one because of the amount of steals that came out and how it actually won.
There's the offband onto DefQ. He's going to use his ultimate. 400 heal keeps him up, and now Infamous a bit stuck what to do. Impale does miss. That's 3 damage for DefQ. Blue City not quite ready to land those glimmer shots, and they're just going to back off. So Infamous trying to siege turret, but not doing too much. Actually, they are now about 2k gold ahead, so that's pretty impressive given that they were even and they haven't really team fighted. They've just managed to push the wave, take a gold mine, and just sneak their way ahead.
Yep, definitely. So that is one thing that we must note as well. That both of these teams definitely respect the strength and the abilities of each other. They are not going to make very reckless plays altogether. They are just going to be very calculated in terms of their offense and, of course, defenses as well. We see a lot of porting back and just... But there is one thing that I'm not sitting very comfortably on. It's that Infamous is definitely just allowing the entirety of Impunity to just farm up. And we all know what that would cause, especially since they have got an Idris and, of course, that of a Kestrel as well. And like you say, they just scale so much better coming into the late game as compared to them. And, of course, the Crystal Adagio as well. But Adagio at this point in time, picking up that Metal Jacket definitely would help out.
That's an awful lot of defense, but Bluesy's going to get caught out by She. But Idris on the other side, he's going to boot in towards getting so much damage going down. And the oh, that's the ultimate, and it does land onto DefQ. He jumps out a split second too early. Shingy secures the kill. The gold mine is very low, but Bluesy is alive. Fortifi's going to try and steal it. Does not get it. Glaive does secure the gold mine. And now Spaghetti is going aggressive. This Bluesy's thinking, what do I do here? I can stay invisible forever, but can I get a kill? And he's now going to back off because his captain is dead. And that was a nice bit more gold going towards Infamous. What do you think about the double damage, double defense on Spaghetti? He's gone 2 tier 3 items and then Aegis and Metal Jacket.
Yep, and that is what Spaghetti built that game. He played Adagio as well. He went for 3 damage items and then 2 defenses first. And 2 defenses and then completing his damage item. And the last item would actually be that of Shatter Glass, if I remember correctly. And that is how Spaghetti really just can stay in the midst of fight. Because honestly, building anything else and just going forward, maybe a 4th damage item would definitely make Spaghetti a little too paper, too squishy for his own good, and especially since Adagio wants to be in the midst of the fight because of the Gift of Fire, the Arcane, and the Burst of Judgment as well. So you really need that extra defenses, extra tankiness all together. On top of that, the Reflex, or rather the Ages, grant you a bit of health, and also for that you actually heals a little more. So in case Tazzaboy put himself in a very haphazard position, at least there is a slight heal, and with that also burning the enemies. That way Spaghetti can just buff himself up with his B and then put out a lot of damage with his basic attack.
Yeah, certainly. It looks like Infamous are just going to look to try and steal away as many camps as possible, possibly looking for a team fight. DefQ has got a full Aegis, and Bluxity's only on 2 damage items completed on the CP Kestrel, so not really dealing out the massive damage that you sometimes see. Also with the CP ratio going down from 160% to 140%, that's an awful lot of crystal power, awful lot less damage that we're going to do now on the CP Kestrel, and so it is able to be tanked as long as they have respectable defense. So there's going to be the power of Tazzaboy and a double stun block on the Atlas, but it will not be enough. Bluxity is going to fall to Adagio, and now Idris trying to get the kill onto Tazzaboy. Again, that's not the target you want. How is Tazzaboy alive again? He's still alive, but DefQ has had enough. He doesn't care if he dies, he wants to kill Tazzaboy, and he does succeed. This will be a tier 2 turret for Infamous.
For that, I can actually answer you as to why Tazzaboy was alive. It was because of the heroic perk of Lance. Tazzaboy did not have the directional shield provided for DefQ after DefQ jumped out of him after she was striking. So Tazzaboy had to poke him once with his lance. Right? I think that is what it's called, or maybe
I think it is a lance.
Yeah, so Lance had to poke him with a lance, and thus granting him the directional damage reduction, and thus he could survive a few damages coming out from that of DefQ. So very well played on Tazzaboy.
I think we need to be picky there. Actually, his heroic perk is that his basic attacks pierce through multiple targets. It's his Githian Wall that gives him damage reduction.
All right, there you go. Yep. So the Githian Wall passive, I think. Yeah,
that's
passive.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And quite a smart play from Tazzaboy just to survive long enough for Chane to just go in to pick him up. So well played overall, but at a point in time, I didn't think that, Tazzaboy should be taking that amount of damage unnecessarily, because Tazzaboy tanked 2 shots of the turret, and on top of that as well, took up a lot of damage coming out from that of Impunity. So that is something maybe Tazzaboy may want to look to change altogether, but all in all, very good play, and being so objective focused, they are able to actually take down the second turret of Infamous, giving them a solid gold lead of 5,000.
Yeah, 5k gold lead so far. Bluxty has now got 3 damage items. Finish Myth, which get you 1 shot in to initiate the fight, gets a few broken myth stacks, and then once they try and dive on you, you get that massive active camo trap stun, and that could really turn the fight around. I think the Impunity is just trying to not fight for as long as possible, just to let Kestrel farm up. There's infusions now on Bluxity ready to be popped. DefQ already used his, and there needs to be vision on Kraken. The Quadrivar is being quite out of position if Infamous decide to go on him, but he just needs to make sure that Infamous aren't taking Kraken, and there's going to be an impact over the wall, but dodged by DefQ with the Shroud Step, and Impunity just getting the heal and just not quite sure what to do. There's lots of backing home and lots of trying to not fight.
Yeah, but definitely trying their bestest to just stay safe, turtle up, and just build up as much damage as heroically possible. But DefQ,
there's the aftermath onto DefQ. He is going to go very low. There's the ultimate from Grace, Divine Intervention, healing interest. That is such a taking the to the face, but Idris will fall in the end. Not enough healing on this Grace, and that is a double stun set up by Blue City. Will he be able to pop it? It doesn't seem likely. We get taking a lot of poke. Tezzerboy will be the target and most likely will fall. There's boots used by Blue City. Echo on the roll from Tezzerboy. 1, 2 going shots. That's secure. Adagio. Can he do it? Tezzerboy dodging. No, he cannot dodge. And Impunity turn it around.
Yeah, that was the ace that Impunity was looking to find, and I'm sure Blue City will be very, very happy with his performance on the CP Castro, especially since it is his birthday. So, you know, happy birthday to you. So, Loki dropping birthday.
Happy birthday.
There you go. So, all the casting team is just wishing him a happy birthday, but definitely very well played from Quatervor. That is something that we must note. Quatervor immediately used Divine Intervention onto DefQ, burned another one for DefQ. DefQ with that, able to pick up, you know, 1 kill. Then it was just down to Blue City to just pick up Spaghetti and Tezzerboy afterwards. So it's a very well thought out team game plan there. But all in all, I personally think it was just done because of Infamous and how Chingy was just too tunnel vision into taking out DefQ and ignoring all other damage coming through.
Yeah, that certainly was a problem, and I want to point out Quatervor has picked up a spell sword, which is awesome. I just love seeing that spell sword actually be used on someone. I don't care if it's a bone, but we're going to see Impunity try to push this Kraken, try and get 2 turrets, most likely DefQ going in, going to dodge the Impale. It actually lands onto Quatervor instead, and Shingy has to off run away. 1 shot onto Tezzerboy, and what's going to happen now? Blue City wants to push this turret. They're actually going to do the poke onto Shingy instead, force him to back off, and it looks like Impunity, easy, 2 turrets, back off, and that is a successful Kraken push. Luxuria, please talk to me about that spell sword, Grace.
I don't know, I guess you need a...
I don't know.
I mean, spell sword overall gives 90 weapon power, very decent passive there, grants you 9 energy every hero you hit, and 3 for everything else. And with Quatervor and how Benediction works, you generally would be able to hit like a couple of enemies at least. So that way you will always have your energy up. So I guess it's a good pickup on Grace.
Doesn't Echo do that? Doesn't
exactly.
Echo give you yeah, that's the problem.
That is why I'm doubting myself at this point.
It gives you a bit of cooldown. It builds out of what is it, 6 sins and chronograph, so it gives you cooldown as well. Just build clockwork. It gives you cooldown, or Shatterglass gives you more heal. Maybe they're just going. He's got his weapon blade and didn't want to sell it. So why not? Let's just have a bit of fun. Build a spell sword because there's apparently no need to buy an Atlas against Adagio and Glaive. Despite the fact that I said Atlas was the most important item for Quatervor to buy, he thought spell sword was more important. So what do I know?
So, yeah, like what do you know? They are pro players after all, so they will do what they will want to do. So overall, I guess it's a decent pickup. I will not say anything more. Or maybe he just thinks that, you know...
DefQ is 1 versus 3, but he's not going to get caught out, so the fight won't quite happen yet.
Yeah, or maybe he's just thinking that his team is not putting out enough damage, and he just want to add on to that damage. But overall, I personally think that Aftershock would have been a better pickup. Overall, if you wanted extra damage, you wanted extra cooldown, you wanted extra energy, you want to, you know, the extra heal as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be the fight going in. Atlas did land on Shingy, but not quite. Spaghetti's lots of damage, but Glaive does manage to fall to Idris. Second Divine Intervention, 720 heal. So much onto DefQ, and now Blue City is on the back line. What is he going to do? Is he going to try and hit Tezzerboy, or going to try and sneak around the back? No, he's just going to farm, and it looks like Impunity are going to go for the Kraken. Very good engage, easy execute onto Shingy, and Spaghetti was really unable to do much.
Yeah, and that, like we were talking about it earlier, all Impunity really had to do was just turtle up, wait, and then farm till they have got all the relevant items, damage items, the defenses items, and just go in afterwards to put out as much damage as possible. Chingy usually will build that poison shift on that of Glaive. He'll go for the tension bow into poison shift and then into a sorrow blade. However, in this game, he is settling for that tornado trigger just to put out so much, a lot more burst at the start of the fight. But overall, you will be out damaged by DefQ on that what is that called on that Idris, and on top of that as well, you are not negating any heals coming out from quarter 4.
Yeah, no poison chip is probably not the way to go against the Grace. Maybe he's spell sword and thought, nah, Grace won't do any heal. 720 isn't that much because of the extra infusion. There's going to be the engage onto Spaghetti, just a little bit of poke, and Luxley is just so far back. He's like, no, I'm not going to get caught out, but I spoke too soon. He went forward, got caught out, and DefQ is trying to run away. Hezboy does hit lithium wall, but it does not land a stun, and now DefQ is going to block. Crystal Sentry is going to do a bit of work, but Quartervoirs are just going to try and survive as long as possible. The MVP is just a bit stuck. Kraken's got a turret, and what are they going? Are they going to try and base rush? What?
No,
they can't do it. Look at Kraken. Kraken is going to get the turret without question, and Infamous have 3 turrets to get through. Bluxy's up in 20 seconds. Kraken's going to win the game. Maybe they want a tier 3 turret and then going to back off.
No way.
That would make sense. No, don't back. Don't win. Don't win. They're trying it. They're trying to win. Bluxy is back up. The Kraken is currently about 6 shots away. First turret has gone down. Second turret is falling very low. Bluxy's back up. So is DefQ. He's going to dive in on Shingy. Atlas Shingy. And the Vein Crystal is exposed. Kraken meanwhile. One more shot from Kraken will probably get the Vein. And it does. The Vein explodes. Game goes to Impunity. What? And it was actually much, much closer than I thought. But in the end, Kraken OP.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. What can I